Right, okay. So I will give you the main event, and we're going to do firing line, as I always call it. I'm going to fire some names at you, and we're going to go back to Smoky Mountain. So this is a Smoky Mountain edition. If a amusing story tumbles from your lips when the name is mentioned, then please let it flow freely. And the first name is Brian Hildebrand.
I love Brian, man. Great guy. Loved the business. He loved the business, and tremendous referee, and he could actually work. He just wasn't very big, but I've worked out with him in the rings before. We used to always do 50 to 100 Hindu squats before the matches at most shows. We just did it. He was old school like that, and I was really keeping up my conditioning then. Rest in peace, man. I love that guy. He's a great guy.
Were you a fan of the turtle gimmick?
You know what? What's funny was I was telling you about them Bobby Fulton shows. The first show I did, Brian actually had a show in Knoxville, but he was supposed to be the turtle on the show I was on, and Bobby Fulton ended up doing it. So, no, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It was for that time. The Ninja Turtles were popular and this and that, but sometimes you got to just mix your show up a little bit, man. And he could do it. So why not, you know? I didn't dislike it. I just know for some of the shows he done it on, like especially, and I know that they had the match with Cornette and stuff, but some of the shows like independently, like I said, referring back to the Bobby Fulton shows or big time wrestling or whatever, the kids loved it. So it is what it is.
Yeah, it served its purpose, definitely.
Yeah.
Do you remember who played the Dark Secret?
Yes. I had to work with him. That was Brian.
It was
Brian Armstrong, and I worked with him like one of his first 2 or 3 matches. Actually, easy. Actually worked the whole weekend, like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday afternoon gig together. So yeah, good guy. We different time frame for both our lives, and things were different. So we had some fun. Good matches, had some fun, and that's that. I was good friend with all the Armstrongs, though. So
another Armstrong may be coming up in this as well. But
that's fine. Sure.
You've already mentioned Robbie Eagle, so I'll skip through Robbie Eagle, and I'm going to go. Do you know you mentioned him as well? But no one ever seems to know much about Brian Lee. So anything about Brian Lee you can tell us?
Man, had that tryout match against him, and he put me over big time. Done a couple of TVs where he was managed by Tammy, and instead of doing his big finish or something, he just give me something easy. He always took care of me. Never had any heat with Brian whatsoever. Partied a couple times, whatever. Was in the Johnson City, was in the mall with my wife at the time, walking through, and out of nowhere, Brian comes out from behind like some clothes or something in the store and gloms me in the side of the jaw with a working punch. And this is when he's getting ready to go up there and be the Undertaker, right?
Right.
And he's going, I got you, Bobby Blaze, like that. And I popped, scared the shit out of my wife, and I popped because of the working punch. If it had been a shoot, he'd kill me. And he just started laughing, man, and we just started talking about how good his success is. And I wished him he's on pizza boxes, and that was the last time I ever saw the guy. We was in the mall at the same time. He come out, and like I said, he did me a working punch in public, and we started talking about his career, and he was getting ready to do the big deal, and that was that. So I guess he ended up going to ECW and doing a bunch of other stuff, and I have no idea where the guy's at or how he was doing or anything. But he was always good to me.
I'll bring this up just because I've just reminded myself of it. Jim Mitchell, in an interview years ago, credits Brian Lee with teaching him how to treat the ladies that they may have around, and the lesson was never ever pay for anything, let them pay for you. Was that who smartened you up to that particular rule?
Probably Eddie Watson, Goldie Rogers up in Canada.
Yeah, good man,
Couple
smart man.
Yeah.
I've got a few more for you. Casey O'Connor.
Limited interaction when I first got there because I wasn't sure if he was a fan. I wasn't sure if he was on board with the office. He was always good to me and cool to me, but he kind of had a smart ass little personality, but nothing bad to me. It's just like, that's why I didn't know if he's like a fan, if he was well, I knew he wasn't one of the boys at that point. He was just a fan, and also he was doing something in the office. But I think he was also trying to come across to me that he had more power in the office than what he did. So I was always like a little bit standish of him. I didn't get a good or bad vibe. I just got this vibe of like, hey, I'm just doing my own thing here, pal, you know, because I don't know what your fucking deal is. And I really didn't. To this day, I don't know. I guess he was a fan, and I guess he was helping Cornette some to an extent, and then things blew up. But I just stayed out away from all that.
Yeah, then his car got...
Nothing bad to say about him.
I was going to say, then his car got smashed up with a baseball bat. And,
yeah, I did know about that.
Yeah, the Stormtrooper.
Don't know anything about him. I think the TV tapings that he was on, I was not on. I think that was early on. I could be wrong on that, but I don't recall being on a taping with him. And I honestly, I don't even know who it is. I don't know who done the deal.
No. Nope, that's an airball then in basketball.
Yeah,
I know
airball.
a couple. I know basketball terminology like a tiny bit.
Airball, yeah, for sure.
The Punisher. Do you remember who the Punisher was?
Bull Buchanan.
It was Bull Buchanan. Yeah.
Very limited. He was working with Tracy, maybe Brad Armstrong, something like that. But no, I didn't. Shook his hand a couple of times. That's it. Didn't ever work with him. Didn't have no outside the ring interaction whatsoever. Just see him in the locker room here or there. That's it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not enough to even tell you, had a cup of coffee together, nothing like that, Yeah. So
I brought up Taz earlier, which you mentioned, or in fact you did. So I've got two more for you. Tommy Rich.
Someone say something about some fried chicken, cold beer, Tommy is Tommy, man. I knew Tommy a little bit just from seeing him on a couple independent shows. Then he came back into Smoky Mountain while I was there, and he just Tommy Rich, just so he trying to steal my gimmick, Bobby Blaze, because he's the wildfire. That's where I got when we first opened up. You said a great Commodore song too, Easy Like a Sunday Morning. First time we got in a ring together, all we had was a finish for a TV taping. And, I took him to a corner. And he said, easy like a Sunday morning, baby, arm drag me. And I just, as a night off, and then we worked. We actually done some independence together. There was a time I used to, we worked up in Cleveland for the Cleveland All-Star Wrestling for a dear friend of mine's departed, JT Lightning. But Tommy and I do like a 3-day loop up there. And it got to where after the first couple, I drove and he'd fly in. I'd pick him up at the airport. And the first stop is you got to go to the package store, get a case of beer right off the bat, and we just start our weekend and we just work through it the whole weekend. And Tommy's just Tommy, man. He in Smoky Mountain was easy. Like I said, on Independence, he was easy. I wrote a little story about it in one of my books there where they gave us, the hotel was the Marriott down by the airport, like $90. And instead of having it booked for us one time, they just gave us, like the promoter up there gave us $90 each and said, this will cover your cost. And Tommy's like, you want to split a room and split this money? And I was like, hell yeah. So we went in, we slept ass to ass. I faced one way, he faced the other. And we got $45 extra on top of our money. We split the money. So I said, every time we went back there, I said, Tommy, here's the deal. I'll pick you up at the airport and we're going to split rooms the next 2 nights or however long we're here. And we'll get some extra money out of it and whatever that cover our beer money, So yeah, Tommy and I hadn't seen, last time I saw him, Tommy's just Tommy. We was at a memorial show or a fan fest and a memorial show, and I stayed for the fan fest part, and I just spoke to him very briefly. Tommy, he's one of them guys. Some people just do their own thing, and you do your own thing. And I've had him on shows here after Smoky Mountain shut down for like a 3-day run. Again, my brother and I, we talk a lot of wrestling, and he was over for dinner the other night while it's fresh. We were just talking about Tommy being on these 3 shows we had up here one time. And man, he was just over, and he come out, and both people were passed, but they were trying to set up a 6-man tag match, and he come out there and he said, I just got off the phone with Bob Geigel and Nick Goulas, and they said this could be a 6-man tag match. Now, obviously, the only smart fans in the building were the older guys that were fans, got the whole deal. But it's so funny because me, as Stro and myself, and we're looking at each other, laughing behind Tommy's back, like, because he's throwing out these old timers' names that's already passed away. But he had to get their approval to be a part of the 6-man tag. So he ribbed us during the interview. It's, just fun shit. So anyway.
And still beer and fried chicken, it seems like to me. He's never changed.
Yeah.
Good for him. I'm going to give you one more name, and then we will close this. Oh, damn it! I had two. Sorry, I've got one. Jimmy Del Rey. That's the penultimate one.
Yeah. Oh man, I met Jimmy down in Florida when I was down there. Had finished, basically still finishing training with Malenko's, but I was going to the Sportatorium every Tuesday. And man, Jimmy could just fucking work, man. You could always tell he's a prankster. He was always into something. He's a little bit into something. It seemed like you had to keep an eye on Jimmy for some reason. But I also saw him doing TV for WWF down there, and he couldn't do the Backlund name. He was Jimmy Backlund.
Yeah.
He couldn't do that. He had to do whatever. And I was like, man, what the hell's he doing down here doing a job for WWF? Same thing I was, making a paycheck, you know what I'm saying? But then I'd see him work on independents around there. And again, every Tuesday at Sportatorium. And I said, that fucking guy can go. And then he came up on a Sunday afternoon show, and I was surprised to see him in the back. And he said, "Yeah, I'm getting ready to come up here. I'm getting ready to start next week, And I knew they was looking for another Heavenly Body, and I was like, "Oh, that's great, Jimmy," And that, to me, he two different lifestyles, but in the ring and in the locker room is completely, funny as hell. And having to watch some of his matches, not having to, but being on shows where I decided to watch every match because I loved, we were in some small towns in Kentucky and, no TV and small crowd due to snow or whatever. And him and Tom, and he would get in there and he would do these craziest spots and make everyone, he just had people laughing their ass off and stuff, not that something you wouldn't do in a big show or anything. And easy to work with in the ring, just like, he's a little bit, he wasn't afraid to take a risk when trying to move or whatever, but he wasn't the smoothest, but he was pretty damn smooth,
I've heard this about a couple of different people, but it seems to match Jimmy. Is at a certain time in the evening, if you're out in the bar, and I know you're a good guy and he was a bad guy, but at a certain point in the bar, something would happen, and you just knew that was just the time to leave and not be anywhere like where you're going to get incriminated along with Jimmy.
Yeah, I'd heard that too, but like in Knoxville, we had two different bars we went to, and Johnson City, Tennessee, the Heels went to one bar, Babyface another bar. I was never around Jimmy much in a bar setting, and a lot of times I was already back at the hotel or heading back to my home, so I wasn't staying there for that particular night to go to a bar. So no, I've heard things, but I wasn't,
Yeah, rightly so. Rightly so. And the very last name, someone I don't know much about, but I'd love for you to talk about a bit, is Ron Wright.
Yeah, my only experience with Ron Wright, professional, because he was managing Dirty White Boy. He's in a wheelchair, of course, and he come out and do his promos and stuff. But man, the fucking guys like the hillbilly, the original hillbilly, just one of them guys that could get that fans riled up so good. And of course, we're talking later on in his career, but man, he could just for what he was doing with Dirty White Boy, and then renouncing the South and just the stuff they were doing, they were getting a lot of heat, man. And I would have, the only thing I know more about Ron now is just from listening to the Studcast. But when I worked with him, it was just very professional. White Boy would feed me over to him and he'd choke me or something. Or if I went outside the ring, he'd come over with his wheelchair and give me the gimmick or something. But again, very professional. Felt honored that I was involved with something because I knew his stories before. I'd heard about him before and stuff, but again, limited action with him other than professional. Not like we was going out to a club together afterwards or going to the gym together, so, yeah. But a lot of stories about Ron Wright, man.
Yeah, well, you'd have to push him around in the wheelchair as well, I expect. So it's the best thing you didn't go to a club with him.
Right.